Sometimes when you do installation work, there may be some part of the installation where the wiring is exposed. Sometimes you need to have a way to dress up the way the exposed wire looks, basically so it doesn't look sloppy like you didn't care. Here we have 4 different kinds of wire that I'm going to show you how to do this. This is quick and easy. This is your sort of standard 18 gauge 2-conductor doorbell wire in a brown jacket. Here we have a pair of 22 gauge solid wire. This is intercom wire. Here we have a single piece of 22 gauge intercom wire. And here we have a piece of NuTone IW6, which is 3 twisted pairs. Applications for this are simple. It could be where a pair of wires comes out through the drywall, the sheetrock, where a low voltage transformer is, and you have to connect the wire to the screws on the transformer, and you would have this sort of sloppy loop of wire that doesn't look very good. And what you do is you take your screwdriver handle and you hold on to it, and you take the wire and you put it around the screwdriver, and you simply wind the wire around the screwdriver like this. So you're creating a coil. Once you've done that, you sort of take it and push it together so it's a tightly wound coil, and then you slide it off. And what you have is a nice neat coil of wire. Since you have to hook it up to something, you can stretch it out a little bit like this to make it sort of an elongated coil, and the end where you're going to hook it up to the transformer, you can simply straighten it out some and then use your wire strippers to strip off the end of it a little bit, and that would be the end that you connect to the screw on the transformer or whatever the device is that you're connecting up to. You can also do that with a 2-conductor cable, which is what this one is. It would make most sense to split this at the end first, where at the end you're going to connect it to something so it's easier to do. But basically you do the same thing. You take it and you wrap it around your screwdriver like this. This one turned out nice and neat on the screwdriver, so you don't have to scrunch it together too much. You simply slide it off and you stretch it out a little bit, and you've got this nice springy coil of wire that you can connect to something. If you have a doorbell, and the reason I'm making this video is I have a customer who's doing a doorbell installation. It's going to be rather showy, and she wants a nice, neat, organized way to hook wires to it so it doesn't look sloppy. This would be typically the kind of wire she might have. She might just use the red and white without the jacket, or maybe with jacket on it, I'm not sure. But you do basically the same thing. You take it with the jacket on, and you simply wind it around the screwdriver. In this case, since you have a jacket, the cable is somewhat flat because of the jacket. So when you wind it, if you do it neatly, you wind it so it's flat against the screwdriver. It's not all lumpy and going every which way. And then you can slide it off and stretch it out a little bit if you need to. This is a fairly stiff coil because you have 2 wires and it's fairly heavy. You can stretch it out like that and make a nice neat little coil, and then you have your ends here which you can cut to length or whatever you need to do. Maybe one is longer than the other because the screws are staggered, and then you strip them off. I should be using the other wire strippers, but I already was holding that pair. And then you have your 2 wires, and you can connect those under the screws. So again, a nice neat way to do this. If you have multiple wires, like here's your NuTone IW6, 3 twisted pairs, and even though they're twisted together, and that's neater than just regular wires individually, you can also coil these. It's a little bit more, but it's not that much to do, and as you can see, it doesn't really take very long to do it. This is a sort of a standard thing that a good installer would do because it looks better, and of course he should have pride in his workmanship, and it shows your customer that you care and you're thinking ahead a little bit about what you're doing. So here's our 3 coils, and again, if you stretch them out a little bit, it makes it look better because it's not as lumpy, and then you can uncoil the ends, strip them off, and put them under the screws. So it's a neat, easy little tip that you can do to make your installations, if you have some part of it to show, look a little bit nicer, like you really cared. And that's always a good thing. I hope you found this interesting, and maybe for someone it will be helpful. If it is, give it a thumbs up here, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you on the next video.